A very good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Beetv Global News at 12. I am Ruth Ogbodu and now the news in detail. Israeli communities mark the Jewish holiday of Purim this week under the shadow of an escalating conflict with Iran, with many celebrations taking place in fortified bomb shelters and underground spaces rather than on the streets. The reports.
Purim, which traditionally involves festive parades, costume parties, and public readings of the Book of Esther, saw a marked shift in tone and location as air raid sirens and missile threats forced residents into safe spaces. In Tel Aviv, large groups of people gathered in an underground parking garage that had been functioning as a bomb shelter, wearing costumes and attending readings of the Megillah while remaining ready to take cover if needed. Authorities had issued broad safety restrictions for the holiday period, banning large public gatherings to reduce risks to civilians as retaliatory strikes and threats continued. According to local reports, many Israelis adapted Purim observances by holding smaller community events in protected areas, and religious leaders urged worshippers to pause rituals if air raid sirens sounded, prioritizing safety over tradition. Instead of the usual street processions and public celebrations, families and groups in Israel spent parts of Monday evening and Tuesday in reinforced shelters or safe rooms, combining elements of holiday observance with heightened alertness to the security situation. Despite the tense backdrop, many participants sought to maintain the spirit of the holiday, which celebrates the Jewish people's survival from ancient threats, even as a modern security crisis kept communities close to protective shelters. Naomi Ewere reporting from Beetv News.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has announced that Ukraine is prepared to deploy its drone defense specialists to assist countries in the Middle East in protecting their cities from area threats, particularly drone attacks, if those nations help Kyiv secure its ceasefire agreement with Russia. The reports.
Amid ongoing hostilities between Ukraine and Russia, Zelensky said Ukraine has developed significant expertise in countering drone warfare due to the sustained use of unmanned aerial vehicles by Russian forces since the full-scale invasion began in 2022. He noted that Ukrainian air defense units have gained practical experience in detecting, tracking, and intercepting various types of drones used in modern warfare. Zelensky stressed that Ukraine is willing to share their knowledge and operational support with Middle Eastern countries facing similar security challenges, especially those experiencing threats from armed drones targeting civilian infrastructure and major cities. According to him, Ukraine's proposal is rooted in mutual security cooperation. Help us end the war with Russia, and we will help you strengthen your drone defense system, Zelensky said, framing the offer as a strategic partnership rather than a transactional exchange. Since the invasion ordered by Russian President Vladimir Putin in February 2022, Ukraine has faced relentless aerial attacks, including the widespread use of Iranian-designed shaped drones deployed by Russian forces. Ukrainian air defense teams have adapted rapidly, combining Western-supplied systems with locally developed technologies to counter the threat. Ukraine has repeatedly called for stronger diplomatic engagement from global and regional powers to pressure Moscow into agreeing to a ceasefire. Zelensky's latest remarks signal Kyiv's intention to broaden its diplomatic outreach beyond Europe and North America, seeking deeper engagement with nations in the Middle East. Security analysts say Ukraine's battlefield experience with drone warfare has positioned it as one of the most battle-tested militaries in counter-drone operations. In recent months, drone attacks have increasingly become a central feature of modern conflicts, affecting both military targets and civilian infrastructure. While Zelensky did not specify which Middle Eastern countries he was addressing, the region has seen a rise in drone-related threats, making air defense a growing priority for several governments. The proposal comes as fighting continues along multiple front lines in eastern and northern Ukraine, with no immediate breakthrough in peace negotiations between Kyiv and Moscow. Ukraine maintains that any ceasefire must respect its territorial integrity and sovereignty. Russia has not yet formally responded to Zelensky's latest proposal. Temitope Oluwafemi reporting for Beetv News.
The Italian government has evacuated 127 of its citizens from the Middle East amid escalating regional conflicts, organizing a special charter flight to bring them safely back home. The report.
The operation was coordinated by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs as tensions intensified across parts of the region, raising security concerns for foreign nationals. Italian authorities said the evacuation flights departed from a secure location in the Middle East and landed in Italy without incident. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry confirmed that the charter flight was arranged as a precautionary measure to ensure the safety of Italian citizens residing or traveling in affected areas. The ministry worked closely with Italian embassies and consulates on the ground to register nationals seeking assistance and facilitate their departure. In addition to Italian nationals, the operation also provided assistance to citizens of other European countries who requested support. Officials described the evacuation as part of ongoing coordination efforts among European Union member states to protect the citizens as hostilities escalate. The returnees included families, aid workers, and business travelers who had been unable to live through regular commercial routes due to flight disruptions and growing instability. Upon arrival, local authorities and emergency services were on hand to provide necessary support. The Italian government reiterated its call for citizens to avoid non-essential travel to high-risk areas in the Middle East and urged those still in the region to remain in close contact with diplomatic missions. The evacuation comes as violence continues to intensify in parts of the Middle East, prompting several countries to review travel advisories and contingency plans for their nationals abroad. Italian officials said further measures would be taken if the security situation deteriorates further. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
A large explosion rocked the Badr district of Badr late Tuesday as Israeli forces launched airstrikes on targets in Lebanon in response to cross-border attacks by Hezbollah. The report.
Residents reported hearing a series of loud blasts that shook buildings and sent plumes of smoke rising into the night sky. The strikes lit up the skyline over parts of the Lebanese capital region, with emergency sirens and the sound of aircraft overhead adding to the tension. The Israeli military said it targeted Hezbollah infrastructure and launch sites following rocket fire and other strikes that it attributed to the Iran-backed group. According to Israeli officials, the operation was aimed at degrading Hezbollah operational capabilities and deterring further attacks. Lebanese security sources confirmed that multiple sites were hit, including locations in and around Badr, which lies southeast of Beirut and houses key government institutions. The extent of casualties and damage was not immediately clear, though emergency services were deployed to assess the aftermath. Hezbollah, which has been engaged in intermittent exchanges of fire with Israel along the southern Lebanese border, said its actions were part of ongoing resistance operations. The group did not immediately provide details of the specific strikes that prompted Israel's response. The escalated marks one of the most intense exchanges in recent weeks, raising fears of a broader confrontation between Israel and Hezbollah. International observers have expressed concern that continued retaliation could spiral into a wider regional conflict. The Lebanese government has urged restraint and called on the international community to intervene diplomatically to prevent further deterioration of the security situation. Meanwhile, residents in affected areas remain on edge as sporadic sounds of aircraft and distant blasts continue to echo across the night sky. Evelyn is reporting for Beetv News.
The Pentagon on Monday released a video showing U.S. aircrafts conducting flight operations in support of continued strikes on Iran, as American and allied military actions enter a multi-day campaign. The footage was published against the backdrop of escalating conflicts after coordinated strikes earlier this week. The report.
The videos issued by the U.S. Central Command includes aerial operations involving strategic bombers, fighter jets, and support aircraft flying missions linked to what the Pentagon described as precision attacks over Iranian military targets. In related developments, the chairman of the U.S. Joint Chief of Staff outlined details of the ongoing military campaign dubbed Operation Epic Fury, which began after a presidential order late last week. According to U.S. military leadership, earlier phases included extensive air and cyber operations designed to degrade Iran's command structure, air defenses, and missile capabilities. Casualties and combat development. The conflict has seen U.S. forces sustain losses. The Department of Defense confirmed that at least 4 American service members have died and several have been seriously wounded in recent days. Separate reports indicate additional incidents involving U.S. aircraft in the region, though details remains under review by military officials. CENTCOM also released imagery showing some of the drones and aerial system engaging targets under cover of night, which of the U.S. characterized as laser-focused precision attack on Iranian military assets. The release of Pentagon footage comes as the broader conflict continues to spread across the region, involving missile exchanges, naval engagements, and joint operations with allied forces. Iran has continued to launch ballistic missiles and drones at U.S. and partner positions according to military statements and international updates. U.S. and allied officials emphasize that operations will press on until strategic objectives, including the disruption of Iran's ability to project missile and military force, are achieved. Evelyn is reporting for BT.
The escalating air war involving the United States and Israel against Iran has expanded into a broader regional confrontation with no clear end in sight. What began as coordinated U.S.-Israeli strikes targeting Iranian military infrastructure has now spread across multiple Middle Eastern fronts, drawing in Lebanon and several Gulf states amid sustained missile and drone exchanges. The reports.
Israel carried out fresh airstrike inside Lebanon following cross-border attacks by Hezbollah, the Iran-backed armed group based in southern Lebanon. Israel officials said the strike were in direct response to rocket and drone fire launched towards northern Israeli territory. Lebanese authorities reported casualties and infrastructure damage in affected areas, marking a dangerous expansion of the conflict beyond Iran's borders. Meanwhile, Tehran intensified its retaliation by launching ballistic missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles towards Gulf nations hosting American military facilities. Air defense systems were activated across Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates as regional forces attempted to intercept incoming threats. Several governments reported damage from falling debris, while energy infrastructure and civilian airspace faced temporary disruptions. Commercial airlines rerouted flights and global oil markets reacted sharply to fears of prolonged instability in the Gulf. In a significant development, Kuwaiti Air Defense mistakenly shot down 3 U.S. Air Force F-15E, F-15E Strike Eagle fighter jets during a period of intense area engagement. The incident occurred as multiple Iranian projectiles and aircraft were reportedly approaching regional airspace, creating a complex combat environment. U.S. officials decided the downing as an apparent friendly fire accident. All 6 American crew members ejected safely and were recovered in stable conditions. Authorities in Kuwait acknowledged the incident and said a joint investigation with U.S. military officials is underway. The widening confrontation underscores the risk of a multi-front conflict involving state and non-state actors, with Lebanon now drawn directly into hostilities and Gulf states under repeated threats. Diplomatic efforts to contain the fighting appear increasingly strained. Regional and global powers have expressed concern that without urgent de-escalation, the conflict could expand further, heightening security and economic risks across the Middle East. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
And now to business. The Central Bank of Nigeria reduced the monetary policy rate by 50 basis points to 26.5% on 24th February 2026, following its 340.
The CBN's decision was based on two main factors: the continued disinflationary trend, supported by the delayed impact of earlier tightening measures, exchange rate stability, and improved food supply. However, the committee acknowledged ongoing risks, including fiscal releases and election-related spending, which could drive inflation back up. CBN Governor Olayemi Kodoso emphasized that the rate cut did not signal an end to inflation risks. In a post-meeting press briefing, he stated that caution remains a priority, adding that the central bank's approach would continue to focus on managing inflation risks rather than assuming the problem had been solved. The federal government has restructured the controversial OPL 245 oil block, dividing it into 4 new assets to be operated by Eni and Shell. This move is expected to unlock one of Nigeria's largest untapped deep water reserves, which has been stored for nearly 3 decades due to legal and political disputes. The restructuring clears the way for the long-delayed development of OPL 245, one of Nigeria's most prolific offshore assets. The field has remained idle amid overlapping lawsuits and investigations across Nigeria, Italy, and other jurisdictions. Final agreements for the restructured assets are expected to be signed soon, with the process beginning on Monday. OPL 245 was originally awarded in 1998 to Malabu Oil and Gas, a company linked to former Nigerian Oil Minister Dan Etiti. The block was later acquired by Shell and Eni in a deal worth approximately $1.3 billion. This latest move signals a major shift in the government's effort to resolve the disputes surrounding the block and bringing it into production. United Capital Plaza recorded a 35% year-on-year increase in revenue, rising from 43.43 billion naira in 2024 to 58.55 billion naira in 2025, according to its audited financial results for the year ended 31st December 2025, filed with the Nigeria Exchange Limited. The company attributed the strong performance to effective execution, a diversified revenue base, and resilience across its business lines, with growth driven mainly by a 176% surge in net trading income and a 59% increase in fee and commission income. Profitability also improved during the period, as profit before tax rose by 37% to 41.80 billion naira, while profit after tax increased by 17% to 28.50 billion naira. Total comprehensive income stood at 20.97 billion naira, reflecting the company's ability to sustain growth despite a challenging operating environment. The board approved the final cash dividend of 0.70 naira per ordinary share, amounting to 12.6 billion naira. This brings the total dividend for the 2025 financial year to 1 naira per share, valued at 18 billion naira, representing a 25% increase compared to the 14.4 billion naira payout in 2024. Naomi Ewewe reporting from Beetv News.
And now to entertainment news. Veteran Nollywood actress Joker Siva has shared candid reflections on her nearly 4-decade marriage to legendary actor Olu Jacobs, offering rare insights into how age, maturity, and understanding have shaped their relationship. The reports.
Silva, at 64, opened up during a recent appearance on Your View, where she recounted the early days of their careers and how their paths first crossed. Silva revealed that their initial meeting took place in a professional setting long before romance blossomed between them. While Jacobs was immediately captivated by her, Silva admitted that her feelings for him developed gradually. Despite the 20-year age gap between them, she emphasized that marrying an older man brought unexpected benefits. Looking back, Silva highlighted the role that maturity and understanding played in their successful union, noting how their differences in age allowed them to complement each other in ways that helped them overcome challenges. In another development, Nigerian comedian and streamer Kata Efe has opened up about his late father and how his life might have taken a different direction if he were still alive. Speaking in a recent video, Kata Efe said his father strongly valued education despite not being financially well off. According to him, his dad raised 7 children, 5 of whom went on to graduate from university, studying courses such as biochemistry, medicine, and pharmacy. In a humorous tone, Kata Efe joked that while his siblings pursued academic academic careers, he studied fooling, playfully referring to himself as the family's comic personality. He added that he likely would not have become a streamer or skit maker if his father had been alive, suggesting that stricter guidance might have influenced his path differently. Bruce Campbell, star of The Evil Dead, has revealed that he has been diagnosed with a type of cancer that is treatable but not curable. In a statement shared on X on March 2nd, the 67-year-old actor acknowledged that the news might come as a shock, but assured fans that he would not be providing further details. He explained that due to treatment, professional commitments, including appearances at fan conventions and other work, will need to take a backseat. Campbell described his cancer journey as an opportunity and expressed his intent to focus on getting as healthy as possible over the summer. He noted with regret that he would be unable to attend several scheduled fan conventions, but emphasized that treatment and professional obligations don't always align. The actor made it clear that he was going public with his diagnosis to prevent false information from circulating, not to seek sympathy. He reassured fans, stating that he has strong support and remains tough, expecting to be around for a long time. Despite the diagnosis, Campbell continues to stay active with several projects, including the indie comedy Annie and Emma, which he wrote, directed, and starred in, as well as serving as an executive producer for the 7th installment of the Evil Dead franchise. Naomi Ewewe reporting from Beetv News.
And now to sports. Galatasaray SK have left out Victor Osimhen from their Turkish Cup clash against Antalyaspor, opting to rest him and other key players. The club already qualified from Group A of the Ziraat Turkish Cup after winning their first 3 matches, said the decision was to allow the players active rest amid a demanding schedule. Osimhen recently scored and provided an assist in their 3-1 Super League victory over Antalyaspor. Galatasaray are juggling a tight Super League title race and the knockout stages of the UEFA Champions League. They faced 6 matches in 19 days, including a 2-legged round of 16 tie against Liverpool FC. Before that, they will play a crucial away derby against Besiktas JK, a fixture that could significantly impact the title race, with rivals Fenerbahce SK and Trabzonspor also in contention. Osimhen has urged his teammates to stay focused during this decisive period, stressing the importance of taking matches one at a time. Galatasaray, who last won the Turkish Cup in 2019, are chasing a 4th consecutive league title and recently advanced to the Champions League round of 16 after a dramatic tie against Juventus FC. And that's the end of our global news. Thank you for joining. Up next is our news update at 3. I am Ruth Ogbodu. Bye for now.
Thank you.